Ishbora Dile. And I first, of course, would like to say welcome to Lesson 405, continuing along with the series of translation of the ancient KiKuma and ancient Hebrew languages, this being an odd number focusing primarily on the KiKuma language. And before I jump into that, I would like to say that I want to show my continued appreciation for all who continue to participate on the frequency. Every single day, it seems like we're faced with a new reality that once we untangle one web, we have to start on the next web that has already been tangled for us. So I would like to say, continue what you're doing. Things are opening up for us, and we are creating opportunities for our people and specifically our children to further the advancement of us as a whole. Now, before I get into the substance of what this lesson is about, I want to go ahead and clear something up because I think there's a misconception of why I'm doing Lesson Series 400. People oftentimes come with the right versus wrong approach to what I'm trying to do. And that's not what the Lesson 400 series is about. It's about synthesizing, because we are still trying to uncover a lot of the information, or just about all of the information that has been taken and hidden from us. So we shouldn't be looking to prove each other wrong, because that's what they want us to do, because right and wrong is a versus and it creates more dichotomy. What we're trying to do is synthesize and infuse, because synthesis and infusion represent unity. Because when we get into the mindset that they want us to do, we're not going to get anywhere. We're not even spinning our wheels. We're rolling backwards again. Something else we need to keep in mind is that, yes, we can present the information that's already been so-called accepted, but we have to realize who accepted it. Why was it accepted? And first off, to accept something, it has to exist. So who in the world created it? So when we look at the information such as the Wallace Budges and the Champolliones and the Zahi Hawasses, and we have to look at the reality of things. So therefore, whatever the paradigm is, that's exactly the direction we should be looking away from, because the paradigm has been set for a reason, and we have to fall away from the reason of the so-called accepted ways of thinking about the way we're approaching these languages. That said, I want to go ahead and jump into this lesson. It's one that I find it very interesting, because the more and more I study our languages and I study our ancient cosmologies and even our current cosmologies in Kongo, I find that in digging into these questions that we've been taught about us and this information, I'm finding that a lot of it seems to be very incorrect, way off. One of the figures is known to be the great builder, or owner, as I should say, of one of the greatest temples in what we now call Egypt, ancient KiKuma. And this is who you know as Khufu. And of course, you've heard the other pronunciations. As I say, I don't use the Greek words. But I will go ahead and deagglutinate Khufu and try to get to the bottom of this word. And this, if you have your Budge dictionaries, will cautiously, as I always say, turn to page 25, and you will see the stela, as they call it, for Khufu. Now, one more thing here is that, as well as the great Muhotapa, I also will prove why I do not think and believe from research and study that Khufu was an actual person. And I will show you why. Now, what we'll do is, when we turn to the Budge page 25, you'll see the symbol, and it's spelled with the circle, which I'm still inclined to think is representation of the sun. But we have the circle, then we have the chick, the little baby chicken, then we have the snake, and then we have another of the chicks, the baby chickens. And what this is supposed to consonantally, or basically spell out, is the circle is supposed to be the K, KH, as you call it. The chick represents the U or the W. The snake represents the phonetic sound F, as in Francis or Frozen. And the, again, chick represents the W or the U. So this is where you get the spelling Khufu, and it is transliterated as Khufu. So what we'll have to do is break this into two parts. Okay, we have to understand that Bantu and all languages of Kongo are tonal, and there are also many of them are broken down into parts to represent different meanings to bring together one word. So we'll start backwards, and we'll go ahead and start with the N, which is supposed to be the F, and the last chick, which is the U, and as you pronounce the Fu. If we look at Kiswahili, we find a word that is pronounced Ufuo, which is U-F-U-O. And what this means is the place beneath a house for burying the dead. Now, you will see a common theme as I go through the terminology of Khufu. You will see one common theme, and I'll make it clear in a few seconds. Now, in Kiswahili, we also have words that are that carry the same root as Ufuo. And one word is kifa. That word means dying. Then we have kifo, which means the act of dying. And then we have kifu, which means a dead thing. So as we see, the fa, the fo, and the fu pretty much just change which representation of death is being presented. So we also have the word mafa, M-A-F-A, and that means a cemetery or the brother inheriting the wife and children of his dead brother. This was custom and still is custom in many places of Kongo. And again, that is mafa. And then we have the word mafu, which means death. So as we see the words burying the dead, dying, act of dying, a dead thing, cemetery, and death. So as you can see, the common meaning and the common concept of what this word ufuo is talking about. So then we have to go back to the beginning of that word, as you say, Khufu, and that beginning of that word will be K-H-U. And that word K-H-U in the Kiswahili language, if we break that into two possibilities, and I'll go through why they both are plausible possibilities and both possibly could be correct. The first one we'll get into is pronounced Ku, K-U-U. And this means great. It means an element of preeminence, and it means authority and excellence. And it's not talking about a tangible big thing like a great size. It's talking about in moral stature. It's talking about in stature in general. It's basically talking about the being of something being great. Another example of that is the word Nku, M-K-U-U, and it means a great person, a powerful person, a ruler, the head of something, and a master. So as we can see, we are talking about something that is exalted when we use the word ku. So as I said, there's a second possibility, and that second possibility is locative, which means it's talking about a direction or a place of something. And that word is ku, K-U, with one U. And what that word or that prefix KU actually means is it is attached to nouns to show a place of. In the Chibemba language, the Kiswahili language, isiZulu, Kikongo, and even Hebrew, it will be the same thing. So in Hebrew, it's spelled Kav He, which would be more so like KH or KU, being the H as a vowel. But it's the same exact thing, same exact definition. And this is also, for example, why the word Kongo means the great land of Congo or the place of Congo, and it's the name of Africa. Now, other isiZulu forms of this prefix ku that represent location are Kubo, Kubona, which means to, from, etc. Then we have kude, which means far or away in a great distance. We have kufufi, which means nearby. And we have kujana, which means somewhat far, but, not as far as kude. So we can see that location being used in different Bantu languages and that prefix ku. So then in the Shivenda language, we have the word ha. Now, the word ha is actually pronounced as an aspirated ha. And Bantu rule shows that the Shivenda H is equivalent to the letters KH, or the sounds, I should say, KH or K. So, as I said, aspirated, ha. It could be ka, or it could be ha. It's all pretty much how long you hold the tongue to the palate of the mouth. So, this word, which in Shivenda spelled H-A, would mean at or at the place of. And it's specifically talking about a person being at the place of. And this is also a locative form. So we'll put this together, both possibilities, and then I'll show you how both possibilities are actually plausible. If we were to pronounce this word, as you say, Khufu, in the Kiswahili language, what I gather is that the word is actually Kuufuo, Kuuufuo, Kuufuo, and that means the great burial place. And then we have the second possibility, which is Khufuo, Khuufuo, and that would mean the dead are buried here. So why do I say that this would show me that Khufu, as you call, of course, was not a real person according to my study? And that is because Khufuo, regardless of the spelling, it is actually pronounced the same, Khufuo. And it would actually describe the purpose of the tombs, okay? And it describes them to be great burial grounds, specifically for Kumeru. Kumeru would be the Great Pyramid, or the Great Meru, in better terms. And being that, if we go back to the Shivenda Ha, specifically talking about a person, it doesn't specify whether the person is alive or dead. So yes, it could specifically be talking about people, but they would be talking about dead or deceased people. Do you understand? So this is why we need to make sure we do our own studies, because we have to make sure that we overstand and understand what our people were trying to say with what they were writing to us to leave to us in stone over the years and the millennia. Because misrepresented information is psychologically damaging to our people. So that is the presentation that I have for Khufuo. And the next portion of the lesson, I will get into